Welcome to the Livin'Sky podcast, a show about raising connected, resilient kids in a world that often forgets what they need most. I'm Lena Livinsky, a pediatric speech-language pathologist, holistic feeding specialist, and a mom, here to help you understand your child's body, behavior, and biology in a whole new way. Each episode brings you simple, practical tools to support healthy eating, development, and family connection without the overwhelm. Thanks for listening. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Livin'Sky podcast, your go-to source for healthy living and valuable insights into child development and family health. I'm your host, Lena Livinsky, or Lena for short. As an SLP specializing in feeding, and most importantly, a mom, my work in holistic health reflects both my professional experience and personal journey. For over a decade, I've passionately studied and researched this field. Now I work with parents of children with chronic disorders, helping them heal and thrive. Join me for a mix of solo and guest episodes featuring experts in the health and wellness space. I can't wait to dive in, and also, I have a toddler, so I gotta get going. Let's get the show on the road. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here at our workshop called Thriving, Not Just Surviving, which is a workshop for moms of picky eaters. I'm Lena, a mom, a speech-language pathologist, a pediatric wellness practitioner, and a holistic feeding specialist. I created this workshop because I know how hard it can feel when your child refuses food, when meals are a source of stress, and when you feel like you're out of answers. This isn't just about doing more. It's about doing what matters. Let's take this time to reconnect, reset, and give you clarity on your next right step. Because there are so many things you can do to make things easier and make food more enjoyable for your child. So take a deep breath and grab your workbook if you have it nearby, and let's begin. I want to start this with grounding ourselves. So I want you to flip to section 1 of your workbook and reflect this with me. What brought you here today? Why are you looking for answers when it comes to picky eating? Do you need extra help? Do you feel like you're drowning? Do you feel like every meal is a struggle? And what challenge are you hoping to get clarity on? Is there something in particular you want answers on? Is there one behavior your child displays around food that just makes you really stressed and you really need help with? And how do you want your child to feel at mealtimes? Do you want them to start enjoying food and understand that food can be a source of pleasure? Do you want them to enjoy having food with their family? And how do you want to feel? Do you want meals not to be a struggle anymore? Do you want to enjoy cooking for your family again? Do you want to be excited about trying a new recipe that your whole family is going to eat? How do you want to feel? Let's pause and write what comes up for you. There really are no wrong answers here, just honesty and a space to begin again. Now, we're going to talk about the root causes of picky eating, because picky eating isn't just a phase, and it isn't your fault. It's often a sign, a signal that something deeper is going on. It's a symptom of something else happening in the body. In my Bloom framework, we look at 5 root causes. The first one is balanced health. Is your child constipated? Is your child tired a lot? Are they not sleeping well? Are they dealing with gut discomfort? Do they have reflux? Do they have a medical diagnosis, a medical need that is causing them discomfort when they're eating? Do they have anxiety? We don't eat well when we don't feel well. So if something is happening medically or psychologically, that can impact eating. And that can result in picky eating. Another area of the Bloom framework that we look at is learned oral skills. Has your child learned to chew? Have they learned to bite, to take a bite off of a food item? Can they manage different textures? Do they gag when they chew certain textures? Do they spit food out? Do they pocket food? Do they chew for a very long time? Sometimes the mechanics aren't in place. Sometimes kids do not learn how to chew or the oral motor skills are delayed and they may need help with learning oral motor skills needed to safely swallow food or to prepare food for swallow. So this is something we definitely need to look at. Another root cause of picky eating is optimal microbiome. When a child has a leaky gut or gut dysbiosis, that often results in picky eating. Has your child been on a lot of antibiotics in the past? Because that impacts the microbiome. Do they have reflux? Do they take medication for that? That can also impact the microbiome. How about their diet? Are they on a diet that is mostly beige or consisting of chicken nuggets and pizza? That can impact the microbiome. There are many things like toxicity around us that can impact the microbiome, lack of sleep. And the gut is deeply connected to what and how we eat. It's connected to our appetite. It's connected to how we perceive food because neurotransmitters are created in the gut. So if we're lacking that happy hormone around food, that's going to impact how we're eating. It connects to our sensory experiences as well. It connects to so many different areas that affect how we eat, how we perceive hunger cues, how we perceive the feeling of being full. All of that can negatively impact our microbiome and in turn cause picky eating. The fourth area of the Bloom framework that we look at is open exploration. Does your child feel safe exploring food without pressure? Do they have an opportunity to do that? Are you able to take them to the supermarket or to the farm to see where their food is coming from? Where is it originating? So they can pick out an item that they may want to try, so they can smell it, so they can touch it, so they can pick it off the vine or they can pick it off the tree. Are they exploring in the kitchen? Are they preparing food with you? Are they able to cut some of their food and arrange it on the plate? Are they able to serve some food for you if they're not ready to eat it yet? There's so many different things we can do to help children feel safe around food through getting to know their food before the pressure of eating it. And the fifth area of the Bloom framework is mealtime boundaries. Is there a rhythm to your meals? Do you feel like the leader at the table? Are there boundaries around food? Do we have rules that we sit together and we eat together? Do we have rules that if your child is ready, they have to try a food before saying no? Boundaries are very important. Rules are very important because there are so many behaviors around food that can take place or it can emerge in a child because something is off within those areas we just talked about. Kids learn behaviors very early and very easily. So sometimes it may not be that they truly don't want to try a food. It could be a behavior because they're so used to saying no. So those boundaries are very important as well, and understanding your child holistically, what their needs are. So take a moment to jot down which pillar you think might be the most active in your child's life right now. We're not diagnosing anything. We're just observing. Which area do you feel is affected? Is there anything going on medically? Is there any discomfort when they're eating? Are they having a hard time chewing? Is their microbiome affected? Are they not really engaged in exploring food? And are we not setting those boundaries around mealtime? Now let's move on to section 3, the science behind all of this. Let's look at what research has to say, not to overwhelm us, but to empower us. So we know that what we're working on is supported. In terms of balanced health, kids who are constipated or frequently sick often become pickier. Their bodies are in protection mode. So this is something to really consider. If you are concerned that your child is struggling medically in any area that could be affecting them, affecting their mood, affecting their appetite, or in general, you want to seek medical health and seek answers. There are many different things you can do to find out what is going on with your child medically. You can do a gut test. You can do a nutrition deficiency test, which is frequently a cause of picky eating as well. If kids are deficient in zinc, in iron, in magnesium, in copper, in omegas, that can affect how they eat. That can affect and cause them to become pickier. So they have nutritional deficiency. This is something you want to know because that could be directly correlated with them being picky and having issues with their sensory processing. Low zinc is directly correlated with that, as is magnesium and iron, so this is definitely something to look into. Another article talks about how children with delayed oral motor skills need support learning how to chew and manage textures. So think about this as when you're looking at milestones that your child is meeting, right? When they're learning how to walk, you want this to ideally happen around 12 months of age, 14 months of age. When you're getting into this 16-month area, you're starting to wonder, are they going to walk by themselves? Do they need physical therapy? It's the same with delayed oral motor skills. When our children do not learn how to chew properly and manage textures properly by themselves in that developmental window, when they're starting solids, usually around like 9 months of age to maybe 12 months of age, you want them to become really good at chewing as they're getting their teeth. Also, teeth coming in and molars coming in play a role here in what type of textures you're going to provide them, but they're going to learn how to rotary chew. And if they're not there at this time, that means their skill is delayed. And sometimes you need support. And that means working with occupational therapy or a speech language pathologist or a myofunctional therapist. It's a little early at that time to do myofunctional therapy. However, you never know what your child might need. So this is something you consider when looking at their oral motor skills. Another article talks about how a diverse microbiome is tied to healthy feeding patterns, especially during key windows like starting solids. So what we mean by diverse microbiome is essentially having different types of bacteria in our gut, good bacteria in our gut, because we have trillions of bacteria and you want them to work for you and be healthy. When we have bacteria that is not healthy, like viruses, mold, candida, fungi, if there is an overgrowth of that bad bacteria, that's going to cause microbiome issues. And unfortunately, because of the environment we live in right now, we come in contact with about 80,000 different chemicals every single day. That can affect our microbiome. So this is something to consider. And oftentimes, fixing the microbiome or helping the microbiome to rebuild that good bacteria growth and get rid of some of the bad bacteria can cause picky eating to improve significantly. Sensory sensitive kids, especially those with oral aversions, are more likely to resist new foods. And that is very true. So this is something to consider again when we think about nutritional deficiencies. Is that's what's causing the sensory sensitivity? Is it the microbiome? Is there bad bacteria overgrowth in our gut? Is that the reason why our kids are very sensitive? This is something to consider here because if there are sensory sensitivities in children, that's going to impact how they eat and what type of textures they're going to accept and what type of temperature of food they're going to accept or what type of flavor and taste they're going to accept. So this is something to definitely consider here. And especially for proper jaw development, we want our foods to be able to eat the harder types of foods, tougher consistencies, think like steak and sourdough bread and things that are harder to chew because that helps our jaw to develop properly. It helps our dentition. It helps our airway to develop properly. It's all very much connected. And the last study that I want to mention here talks about how consistent, calm mealtime routines support feeding progress over time, right? Because when we have those boundaries in place and when we have mealtime routines and we're supporting our kids when it comes to feeding and we have a calm environment without pressuring our kids to eat and we're consistent with it, we eat the same way every single day can really support feeding progress over time. You don't have to memorize this. Just know that your observations are backed by science. It's not in your head and you're not alone. Right now, 1 in 4 children is struggling with picky eating. That's 25%. That number goes up if there is any type of developmental disabilities. It can go up to 80% of children on the autism spectrum. So picky eating is a true epidemic, and those numbers are only going up because our kids are not getting healthier. Don't be afraid to talk about this if you need some support, because you're definitely not alone on this journey, and there is help out there. There's so much you can do to help your child become an adventurous eater. So let's create the action plan. How are we going to go about this? Let's go to section 4 and let's shift from information to implementation. Let's fill in what are the top 4 things we learned today. We talked about learn oral motor skills. We talked about the microbiome, talked about setting boundaries, letting kids explore food, how the microbiome and nutritional deficiencies and health in general is tied to picky eating and sensory processing. Write down 4 things that you learned today. Next, let's write down one small change you will try this week. What is one thing you can do? Whether it's having family dinner versus having a child eat in front of a tablet or TV. How about going to the supermarket with your child so you can explore the fruits and vegetables and the meats and those food groups they don't typically eat? How about having your child serve some food for you? Whatever you cook and if you know they're not going to eat it, just have them serve it on your plate just to interact with it. The third thing I want you to write down is the support you might need to make that change happen. Do you need help with a speech language pathologist? Do you need help of a doctor? Do you need help of your partner, of a grandparent, of a teacher? Whoever it is that you need support from, just write it down. And just know it's okay to need support because picky eating can be very difficult. And let's write down one affirmation you can hold when things feel hard. Here's one you can borrow. Progress is measured in trust, not bites. It's never about how many bites they're going to take. It's about how they feel about the food that they're eating and how they trust you when it comes to eating and how they trust themselves. Small steps really add up, and you're doing such good work. And if you can't write this down right now, that's okay. You can just think about it and maybe write it down later. Now, let's go to section 5. I want you to think about empower moving forward. And let's close with a few reminders. Your child is not broken. Picky eating is pretty common, and it's typically a symptom of something. It's not a diagnosis. This is just something that happens when something else is off in those 5 areas we talked about. Picky eating is a symptom, not a personality. Your child is not a picky eater. That's not a personality trait. This is just something that they're dealing with right now because they're perhaps not feeling well, because maybe they're anxious around food. There's many different reasons that could be causing this, like we talked about. You can create safety and structure around food. You can create a very safe environment and an explorative environment where your child can really immerse themselves in the eating or exploration experience. This is something they can do for fun, like baking cookies with you and kneading the dough and maybe rolling something out, maybe baking bread or cutting up some cauliflower for lunch. It could be many different things. They can be mashing bananas for breakfast. Something to give them safety and help them explore food in a very physical way. And you are the expert on your child, nobody else. You know their mannerisms. You can predict what they're going to do, what they're thinking, what they want. And if not, if you're kind of disconnected and overwhelmed, that's okay too, because you can always find help. But you are the expert. You know what your child needs help with. So this is something to really remember here, because you are their biggest advocate. And the last thing I want you to remember is that trust is built over time, not overnight. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. This is something that typically takes time. The older your child is, the longer it may take. The more areas affected that are causing picky eating, that can also affect how long this will take to undo and to help your child feel better. But even if it's taking a long time, that's okay, because that's what they need. And this is the space that we're going to hold for them. Because eating is such a social experience. It is something that we need to be healthy, to be able to go out with our friends and enjoy time with our families. So no matter how long it takes, it is worth the time investment to help your child become an adventurous eater. And I want you to think about, what do you want to take with you from this workshop? Write it down. What is the main thing you learned today? What is something that is making you feel inspired? Something that you can do, something that you didn't know. Let's write it down. or think about it out loud if you can't write it right now. And I'll leave you with these quotes. You're doing the best you can with what you know. And this is more than enough because it's impossible to know everything, even though social media is oversaturated with information. You never know what source it's coming from. It's overwhelming learning all the time. And if this is something you didn't know, it's fine. This is something you're learning along the way. Even one small change in your child's life when it comes to eating is going to impact them long term. Another quote that comes to mind is that children grow in connection, not correction. So again, it's about making mealtimes pleasurable and explorative and fun and not a place of stress. And every small win matters. Even if the win is that they were able to put broccoli in their shopping cart where before they wouldn't touch it. That's a win. It doesn't have to be my child ate 10 bites of broccoli. That is not the only win that matters. It's about the experience. It's about their connection. Here's a little bonus tip I wanted to give you. This week, I want you to pick just one mealtime to let go of all expectations. Just focus on connection. Chat with your child, laugh with them, share a story, play a game, talk about something they love. That's where real feeding progress begins, that connection. And this is something that I feel like goes full circle because this is typically how feeding starts. It's that connection you have with your baby when you're feeding them. Whether it's nursing, whether it's bottle feeding, the child is typically looking at you and connecting with you with this intense eye contact and trust and love. And this is how feeding starts. And this is something that gets lost along the way. When children start solid, it is definitely something I want you to bring back as much as you can when it comes to eating, because that connection can really help your children feel great about food. I want to thank you so much for being here. This work you're doing, showing up for your child and staying curious and thinking of ways to help them and trying again and creating this safe environment for your child, it matters more than you know. So if you feel stuck or overwhelmed, I'm just a message away. I'm here with you on this journey. This is my passion. I love helping children to eat and feel good. So I'm happy to support. Supporting families like yours is really my greatest passion, and I'd be honored to walk alongside you on this path. If you would like a free consultation with me, the last page of the workbook is going to give you the information you need. And if you're listening, I'm going to leave a link in the podcast show notes on how we can do that. Okay? I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much. I'm honored to serve you. Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in today and being a part of the Livin'Sky community. I hope you learned something new and inspiring that you can apply in your life right away. If you have a minute, please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us grow and for other parents like you to find us. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Sending you and your family lots of love. I'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to the Livin'Sky podcast. If this episode resonated, please leave a quick 5-star review or share it with another parent who'd love it too. It really helps more families find the support that they need. And don't forget to join my newsletter at LenaLivinsky.com for more tips and free guides. Sending a little sunshine to your kitchen today. See you next time.